I used to think the worst betrayal would come from a stranger, a coworker, maybe an old flame. But not her. Not the woman who used to sit at my family's dinner table. Not the woman who was supposed to be my mother figure after my dad passed. And definitely not my own wife, the mother of my son, the person I trusted most. But life has a cruel way of unraveling quietly. There was no loud fight, no slamming doors, just silence. A strange kind of silence, the kind that creeps in between routines, between dinners, between glances that used to mean something. I remember the moment I knew something was off. It wasn't a text or a lipstick stain. It was a glance between them, too familiar, too warm. I didn't want to believe it. I pushed the thought away, told myself I was being paranoid. But the truth? The truth was uglier than I ever imagined. She wasn't just cheating. She was doing it with my stepmother, the woman who raised me after my father died. And I would only discover the full horror of it all because of my son. If you've ever thought betrayal had limits, think again. Tap subscribe. This story is not what you think. My father passed away 5 years ago. He wasn't perfect, but he was my anchor. After he died, there was a space in the house that couldn't be filled, no matter how often we cleaned, cooked, or talked around it. My stepmother, Gloria, stayed on with us. At the time, it made sense. She had been in our lives for almost 2 decades. She had helped raise me. She knew the rhythms of our home. And after all, it was what my dad wanted to keep the family close. So she stayed. She helped with my son when he was born. She cooked on Sundays. She laughed with my wife. It almost looked like healing. My wife, Dana, had always gotten along with her. I used to find it comforting, the way they'd chat like old friends while I mowed the lawn or played with our boy. They'd make coffee together, swap stories about motherhood, sometimes even plan family vacations without me. Looking back, I don't know how I missed it. But that's the thing about trust. You don't look for cracks when the foundation seems solid. Dana was my high school sweetheart. We got married young, built everything together. A small house, a modest life, and our boy our everything. I worked long hours, sure, but I did it for them. Every sacrifice was for my family. And Gloria, she was always just there, a background presence, supportive, smiling, almost invisible, the way only familiar things can be, until she wasn't. I never questioned it when Dana invited her along on errands, or when Gloria started staying over more often. I told myself, it's good for Dana to have someone close. It's good for our son to have another grandmother figure. But underneath all that calm, something had already started to rot, and I was too loyal, too blind to see it. It started with something stupid innocent, even. My son had been obsessed with this remote-controlled race car his cousin gave him. He'd race it around the living room, through the hallway, under the kitchen table. The thing had a little built-in camera, nothing fancy, just a toy. One evening, while clearing storage on my phone, I opened the app that synced with the car's camera. Most of the clips were what you'd expect: blurry footage of couch legs, dusty corners, the bottom of my slippers. But then, one video froze me in place. The angle was low, just beneath the kitchen island. The camera must have gotten wedged under there while my son played and forgot about it. I saw Gloria and Dana, my stepmother and my wife, sitting unusually close, laughing, touching, not in that casual, familial way either. This was charged, intimate. Then Dana leaned in and kissed her. I thought my brain had misfired. I replayed it, and again, it didn't change. I sat there in the dark, gripping my phone, listening to my own breathing turn shallow. My body went cold. My ears rang. My stomach clenched like I had just been punched. This wasn't some one-time mistake. The way they moved, the comfort between them. This was ongoing, rehearsed. I remembered how Gloria had been at our house 3 nights last week. I remembered Dana saying she needed emotional support lately. I'd been played by both of them, by the 2 people who were supposed to be the closest to me. One raised me. The other promised to grow old with me. And somehow, they'd found each other in the cracks of my silence and trust. The betrayal wasn't loud. It didn't come crashing down with shouting or slammed doors. It crept in like poison. It was poison. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay beside Dana, stiff as a corpse, watching the ceiling and wondering how long this had been going on. A month? A year? Since my father died? And the worst part? I started wondering if they ever truly loved me, or if I'd just been a placeholder in the family they really wanted. I didn't confront them. There was no grand scene, no thrown plates, no shouting match to echo through the walls, just silence. Because when betrayal comes from the ones closest to you, rage feels small, insufficient. I spent that entire week pretending. I woke up each day beside Dana, made her coffee like I always did. I helped Gloria with groceries when she stopped by. I smiled through dinners, asked about her day, tucked my son into bed like nothing had changed. But inside, something was dying, and I let it die quietly. You see, when a man screams, people listen. But when a man falls silent, truly silent, it means the war is already over inside him. I spent my nights packing little by little. Just the essentials, documents, a few clothes, keepsakes my son had made for me. I waited for the right moment. Not for revenge, not for drama, just an exit. I moved out while Dana was at work and Gloria was away on a trip. I left a single note on the kitchen counter. You chose each other. I choose peace. Don't explain, don't follow. My son will always know who stayed silent, so he wouldn't hear us destroy each other. That was it. No signatures. No closure. Just the quiet thud of a door that wouldn't open again. I slept on a friend's couch that night. Then another night. Then another. Not because I had nowhere else to go, but because nowhere else felt safe. The silence stretched over weeks. Dana texted once. Where are you? Are you okay? I read it. Didn't reply. There's a certain power in letting people drown in their own questions. I wasn't trying to make her suffer. I was just done being the only one bleeding in a relationship built on illusion. For a while, I disappeared from their lives like a ghost. No calls, no messages, just absence. But it didn't take long for the whispers to begin. You see, people notice, especially in a close-knit community where everyone's eyes are sharper than their words. My sudden absence raised eyebrows. My silence spoke volumes. Anna started showing up at school alone. At first, she smiled, waved like everything was fine. But her smile faded the day one of the teachers said, "Your husband used to volunteer for parent days. Is he okay?" She stammered, said I was traveling. But her eyes blinked too fast. Her hands clenched too tight. And then there was Gloria. The woman who once strutted through the neighborhood with smug confidence now walked like she was stepping over glass. I heard she stopped attending PTA meetings. Even at family gatherings, people pulled away slowly, politely, like shame was something contagious. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. The truth has a way of leaking out. Through changed routines, through guilty eyes, through a son who innocently asks, "Why doesn't Daddy live with us anymore?" And that's the part that broke them. Not my silence, not the community's glances, but our child's confusion, his innocent grief. He didn't understand betrayal, but he understood absence. He understood that I wasn't there to read him bedtime stories or watch Saturday morning cartoons. Dana tried to reach out through him. A photo, a message, a drawing he made in school. But I refused to weaponize my son's love. So I waited until he asked me directly, "Daddy, do you still love Mommy?" I took a deep breath, kneeled to his level, and said, "I'll always love you. And that means I'll never lie to you. Sometimes adults make choices that hurt people, but I'll never leave you, okay?" That was all he needed to hear. And as for Dana and Gloria, their punishment wasn't mine to give. Life had already started delivering it. In glances, in silence, in the heavy weight of two women sitting across from each other at a dinner table, knowing that nothing they shared would ever taste like peace again. I used to believe that family was something sacred. Not flawless, but sacred. It wasn't built on blood alone, but on the quiet rituals of trust. The way someone saved the last piece of dinner for you. The hand reaching across the bed in the dark. The sound of your child breathing peacefully in the next room. All those little things, they used to mean something. Now, I look back and wonder, was I the only one who felt it that way? After I left that house, I rented a small place across town. Nothing fancy, just enough space for me and the silence. I slept on the couch most nights, half-dressed, too tired to care. My clothes stayed in boxes for weeks. I didn't unpack because I didn't feel like I had arrived anywhere. I just felt removed. People kept asking, "Why didn't you go crazy? Why didn't you confront them?" Because I was done giving them my emotions. Rage would have fed their story. Silence starved it. At night, I thought about my father, the man who married my stepmother. I tried to imagine what he would have said if he'd known that she'd sleep with his son, his flesh and blood. Would he have blamed me? Would he have wept? I'll never know. He took his truths to the grave, and now so have I. But I do know this. My stepmother was lonely, and I was blind. I missed the signs, how she lingered when she touched my arm, how she'd make 2 cups of tea, then only drink 1, waiting by the window until I came home. I thought she was trying to fill the void my dad left behind. Turns out she was building something else entirely. And my wife, I still don't know what to call her. She wasn't evil, just unfinished, insecure, weak in the places I once thought were strong. She used to write notes and leave them in my coat pocket, things like, "Drive safe," or "You're my home." And now, I can't help but wonder, were those notes just things she wished she felt? The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It was realizing that I had been loving ghosts, shadows of people I thought I knew. You know what betrayal does? It doesn't break your heart in half. It unthreads you, slowly, quietly, until you can't tell where your skin ends and their lies begin. I didn't go to therapy, not because I thought I was too strong, but because I didn't know what I'd even say. "Hi, my wife slept with my stepmother, and now I can't eat spaghetti without feeling sick." How do you unpack that without laughing or screaming? So I wrote, pages and pages of nothing, just words. Some made sense, some didn't, but they bled out of me like infection, like pus from an old wound. I never showed them to anyone, just folded them, burned them, watched the smoke rise like a goodbye. I've started to rebuild, not in the way people expect, not with a new relationship or revenge. I just started taking long walks. I call my son more. I listen more than I speak. I stopped expecting people to be like me. I've learned that betrayal doesn't make you broken. It just peels away the illusions. And once they're gone, you see the world clearer. Colder, maybe, but clearer. And clarity, my friend, is freedom. If this story resonates with you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Letting go isn't something that happens overnight. It doesn't come with closure or even justice. It comes with weariness. You wake up one morning and realize you're tired of carrying their mistakes on your back. That's when you start to loosen your grip. Not because you forgive them, but because you forgive yourself for believing too long, for staying too long, for breaking yourself to hold on to something that never really held you. I stopped checking their social media, not out of strength, but out of numbness. I just didn't care anymore. Their lives became background noise. And in the quiet, I found something I hadn't felt in years myself. I reconnected with my son. Not in big ways, but in moments. Small dinners, late-night video calls. I listened to his music, even when I didn't get it. I asked him questions, not just about school, but about his thoughts, his fears, the things that mattered to him. He didn't talk much at first, but I stayed. And slowly, the silence turned into something human again. The hardest moment came unexpectedly. I saw them once, my ex-wife and my stepmother, together, at a school event. They tried not to look at me, but I saw the flicker in their eyes, something between guilt and defiance. And for the first time, I didn't feel anything. No hate, no hurt, just a strange kind of emptiness, like walking into a room you used to live in and realizing it no longer smells like home. That's when I knew I was free. I didn't need an apology. I didn't need karma. I didn't need their shame to balance the scales. I had survived. And survival, sometimes, is the only justice you get. Do I still believe in love? Yes, but not the kind people post about. Not the fairy tale version that starts with forever and ends in, we just grew apart. I believe in the kind of love that shows up when it's inconvenient, that holds you steady when your world falls apart, that listens without fixing, that chooses you not just on the good days, but especially on the days when you're hard to love. And maybe someday I'll find that kind of love again. But if I don't, that's okay too, because I've built something stronger now, a self that doesn't bend to lies. A life that isn't waiting for someone to come save me. A peace that isn't built on denial, but on brutal, unfiltered truth. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without bleeding. It means carrying the scar without reopening the wound. It means smiling at the memory of a storm from the safety of the shore. People ask me what I would say to them now if I had the chance. Nothing. There's nothing left to say. Their chapter in my story is over, and I have 1,000 more pages to write without them. So here I am, alone but not lonely, wiser but not bitter, scarred but still standing. And if you're listening, if you've been through your own version of this story, just know you're not weak for breaking. You're strong for surviving. You're not broken. You're becoming. If you've made it this far, thank you for staying with me. Hit that like button, subscribe to Lies Unveiled, and drop a comment if you've ever had to let go of someone who never really held you. If you're still here, thank you. I didn't tell this story for sympathy. I told it for someone like you. Maybe you've been through betrayal. Maybe your pain has a different name, a different face, but the ache is familiar. Maybe you've sat in a car, alone after the truth hit you like a train. Maybe you've held your child while pretending the world wasn't falling apart. Maybe you've asked yourself, in the quiet hours of the night, how did it come to this? And maybe, like me, you've realized that the most painful part of betrayal isn't what they did. It's what you gave. The years, the trust, the pieces of yourself you may never get back. But here's what they don't tell you. You are allowed to rise. Not all wounds stay open. Not all endings stay bitter. This channel, Lies Unveiled, was created for stories like this. Raw, real, unfiltered. It's not just about exposing betrayal. It's about healing, about reclaiming your voice, about learning to breathe again when your heart feels crushed. So if you found a piece of yourself in this story, subscribe, stay with us, leave a comment, let your voice be heard. Let this be the moment you stop carrying shame that doesn't belong to you. Share this video with someone who needs it. A friend, a sister, a father, a stranger. Someone who's standing where you once stood. Because sometimes the right story at the right time can change everything. You are not alone, and you are not finished. This isn't the end. It's your beginning. Don't forget to like this video if it touched something inside you. Subscribe to Lies Unveiled for more stories that speak truth. Comment below. What's the hardest thing you've had to let go of?